Saudi leadership for hosting a very large Indian community of over 2.7 million and for looking after their welfare. Prime Minister also thanked Saudi Arabia for designating India as the guest of honor in the prestigious Janadriya festival in 2018. Both leaders agreed to increase the frequency of direct flights of carriers of India and Saudi Arabia by 384,000 seats per annum, which will give a huge boost to tourism as well as to the large Indian community in Saudi Arabia. At our request, Saudi Arabia have decided to increase the quota for Hajj pilgrims from India to 2 lakhs. This gesture was deeply appreciated. India has also decided to extend e-visa facilities to Saudi nationals. Saudi Arabia has also agreed to resolve issues relating to Indian workers who are currently stranded in Saudi Arabia due to the closure of one foreign company. This gesture was also deeply appreciated. Both sides committed themselves to promote reformed multilateralism in multilateral fora and in international organizations, including pursuing UN Security Council reforms. We will also work together to address the problems and issues of fugitive economic offenders. The following MOUs were signed this afternoon. MOU on investing in the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund of India, MOU on cooperation in the field of tourism, MOU on cooperation in the field of housing, Framework Cooperation Agreement between Invest India and Saudi Arabia General Investment Authority, MOU on cooperation in broadcasting for exchange of audiovisual programs, and finally, agreement for from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to join the International Solar Alliance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the briefing. I now open the floor to questions. Would request if you could introduce yourself, your name and the organization you represent when you ask the question. Arthur and Maha.
Good evening. The question is for Secretary R. Thuramurthy. You mentioned that there is a concerted understanding of going back to resumption of comprehensive dialogue. I presume it's with the neighboring country to our west. My question, sir, is this: why the reluctance or shying away from actually naming the perpetrators of the Pulwama attack when on every forum the Honorable Prime Minister and every other representative of the government has done so? Is there a specific reason?
Related question: was the complicity of Pakistan in the Pulwama attack underlined?
The complicity of Pakistan in the Pulwama attack was very much underlined. And what they agreed, just to answer your question, what they agreed was the need for creating the necessary conditions for any resumption of talks. And the other aspect of your question is really on Pakistan. At this point of time, let us focus on the Saudi Arabian visit.
Ranjit ji.
And the $100 billion fund you referred to includes the already committed $44 billion Ratnagiri refinery project, and also it will be invested through National Investment and Infrastructure Fund.
We'll take one more, Brahm Prakash.
क्या सऊदी की तरफ से भारत पाकिस्तान के बीच जो टेंशन चल रही है, इसको लेकर क्या मध्यस्थता की पेशकश की गई है भारत के समक्ष?
As far as your question is concerned, I don't think we have necessarily a breakup of the 100 billion. But that said, definitely we are counting the investment which is going to go into the refinery and the petrochemical complex also. That said, I wanted to also clarify that out of the 44 billion, actually what I think they have envisaged is a 50-50 split between Indian investors and the foreign investors. And even as regards the 50-50 split, two investors are coming in, which is from UAE is ADNOC, and from Saudi Arabia it is Aramco. So we are looking at a much reduced type of investment, which is probably $11 to $12 billion from the Saudi Arabian side. So that's why, yes, it will probably include definitely this one, but I'm not able to give you a split up as such for the 100 billion. And just to answer your question,
National Investment and Infrastructure Fund, what is this one?
no, there is no figure which has been mentioned. But you will recall that the UAE had invested $1 billion in the national, the infrastructure fund, and therefore we are looking at a figure for investment by the Saudi side into the NIIF. As of now, we don't have a figure. And to answer your question, at this point of time, no mediation has been offered.
You see, what I'll do is, if there is any question which relates to the meeting today and connects to Pakistan, I think we will take. Secretary has already answered that question. He has made it very clear that both countries, they strongly condemned the Pulwama attack in the strongest possible term. So I will not take any question related to this topic now. Yes, please.
So this is related to the 100 billion investment. I just wanted to understand, is there a time period when this investment will come in?
There is no time period.
Okay.
As of now.
Okay, so it was a commitment to invest 100 billion. I mean, is that...
It was a commitment to invest 100 billion.
Yes.
But let me also say that some of the talks are already going on. Okay. On what are the areas and the sectors we should be looking at.
Right.
And in fact, the Niti Aayog team was there just 4 days ago, precisely to look at the various areas which they are looking at for investment. And in fact, the workshop which took place between Niti Aayog and the Saudi Center for International Strategic Partnership, it took place in Riyadh. They have identified more than 40 opportunities for joint collaboration investments across various sectors. So we will have to sit and work through these 40 sectors and 40 opportunities and see what comes up.
Siddhant.
So one question is on the prisoners in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia holds the largest number of Indian prisoners in West Asia in their jails. Was that discussed? And another question on the oil prices, something that the Indian Prime Minister also raised in his last meeting on the sidelines of G20.
Yeah, the issue of prisoners was discussed. And the reaction from the Saudi side was a positive reaction. But at this point of time, we are working through this. But it was very much taken up. And the other one was? Oil prices. Yes, and that has always been a matter of discussion, particularly energy is a major area of, and Saudi Arabia is one of the pillars of our energy security. So therefore, all these were taken up with the Saudi side.
Just hold on, I'll come to you. Just one sec. Abdono. If you can introduce yourself as well.
My name is Zubair Ahmed. I'm from the BBC. Recent reports are that Indians working in Saudi Arabia are facing a lot of hardships. Probably more than 100,000 Indian workers have come back to India. Just like the Pakistani government spoke to the Saudi government to ease up the new tax regime that the Saudi government has imposed on workers there. Has the government of India taken up this issue with the Saudi government?
I'll take one more. Yeah.
My name is Vineet Dikshit. I'm from Swaraj Express News Channel. This is about what I gather was extending Saudi Arabia support to tackle the pending resolution of terrorism at United Nations. Is it the same which is pending since 1986? And why this is being, taking long time? What are the chief roadblocks?
This actually, your question goes beyond the mandate of what we are discussing today. It's more or less a union-related matter. You're talking about CCIT, right?
Yeah, but it has been referred.
Yes, yes.
Now, let me say that the issue of Indian workers in Saudi Arabia is a matter of high importance for both countries. And these are discussed in various contexts, and including today. They have been discussed. The taxes you are actually referring to is not on the workers, actually. It is slightly different, just for clarification. But one of the issue which is rather immediate, which we were accosted with, was that there was a foreign company which had actually closed down. I think it's a Cyprus company in which more than 2,600 workers have been stranded. And this has been a matter which has been of great concern to us and great concern to the Saudi side also. And we have been working with them to try and resolve this. And the indication that we have got today is a very positive indication. And that is why I'm happy to announce that we are working through this. And as regards a few other things also, we have taken it up with them. And they have promised that they will be considering it most seriously.
So for accuracy's sake, you said the number of Indians working there is 2.7 million. But often I think the numbers vary. It's 3.1 million or 3 million. So what is the correct number?
These numbers are based on the official figures released by the Saudi Ministry of Interior from time to time. You're right, there was a time a year or so ago, maybe a little more, when it was 3.1. But the latest figures which have been received by us this January or maybe December is 2.7 plus. So these numbers keep changing plus up and down depending on many factors. But this is the figure as of right now. When the next figures come, we will be in a position. But as of right now, we're talking about 2.7 plus.
So the number of returnees is more than 100,000, or?
No. So you are talking about a period in which included, since you have mentioned it, the amnesty which went on in 17 with all people with illegal.